Alright, so there are a few things I want to say right now, and that's I'm not too sure I want to keep doing these videos anymore. This like video format where I open up a old file. Just because the information that you're getting is kind of redundant at this point. You know, I tell you like, oh, these are the plugins I used, these are the sounds I picked, these are the effects that I put on the sound, and I don't go into too much detail on the effects in the video because that would take forever. But you have access to all of this, and you can open it, you can play around with it, you can see how things are affecting the different sounds available. So yeah, like I said, I don't know if I want to keep doing these unless you guys think it's still helpful. So let me know. So let's do the intro. This is what the intro really revolves around, this pattern right here, which is a bunch of sounds. But the first sound I made was this one right here, so let's listen to this. This is just Sakura. I think it's the preset, one of the grand pianos. I maybe added some more effects. Yes, I did. So yeah, I mean, you have the project file. You can play around with that. And the next thing I did was added some organs here, which I was able to then figure out a bunch of chords that I wanted to play, and you know, make the melody even more interesting overall for the intro. And you know, the whole point of this intro is to build up to a drop, so that's like that's what I have in the back of my head as I'm creating this as I'm trying to form these chords. All right, so there's that. Then final touches were add a bit more low end, and then this little pulsating sound right here that I really like. And that's really just basically the intro. I just made everything else around that. And let's look at this real quick. This is some percussion that I used to have, but then I decided to disable it for the final release. And I guess the only reason I can really think of for not including that is because I usually like to have my intros have no or very minimal percussion, very minimal bass, just so that the drop really hits hard, you know, when you get there. But yeah, that's basically that first half. And then the second half right here is where I bring in some more like orchestral elements. I bring in a snare, and you know, it's all just building up and building up to the drop, the first drop. What? Yeah, hold on. Let me see what's up with that. Huh. I don't know. Let's see if that fixes it. Alright, somehow that got sent to a random insert here and it lost all of the effects. But there's another example of how a sound can be, you know, changed completely to fit the mix and sound more interesting, right? So this is how it sounded before. And then, you know, you add the effects and cool. All right. So that concludes the intro. You can go to the project and look at exactly which samples I used here. Just a bunch of percussion. Yeah, I think that's it. That's it for the intro. Oh, I guess last thing is that this melody here is actually influenced by this song here, which is a show that I used to watch as a kid, and I don't know, I really like this melody. So yeah, I just did a little variation to that and created this, and yeah. So that concludes the intro, honestly. Let me think if there's anything else I can say about it. Oh, yes, there is something. I was planning on having like a vocalist on this, but I guess nobody really wanted to work on this track with me. I don't know. I couldn't really find anyone. So eventually I ended up doing the instrumental. But anyway, before that, I was picking out some like reference vocals to give people an idea of like what I'm trying to aim for. I tried some Linkin Park vocals. I tried some, what was it, Coldplay vocals. These are just like bands that I usually listen to, or used to listen to. I don't really listen to them anymore. Sometimes I do, just like a throwback listen. But eventually I settled on the vocals from that one Chainsmokers song, and let's just have a quick listen to how that sounds.
Crashing, hit a wall. Right now, I need a miracle. Hurry up now, I need a miracle. Stranded, reaching out, I call your name, but you're not around. I say your name, but you're not around. I need you right now.
So yeah, that's that. I wanted this to be an original, so I didn't keep that. And yeah, that concludes the intro. Let's go to the drop. There shouldn't be much to say about this. There's a lot of automation going on, mainly just to make the mix really tight, you know, and I'm playing with the reverb. I'm muting some of the stereo enhancer and stuff, muting some of the reverb, like the wetness level as well. And it makes like certain sections hit harder and certain sections hit wider, you know? So like I wanted these first like bass hits to hit wide, and then I wanted the sharp like lead that comes in between, that's pitch bending, to be really sharp and tight and just like in your face. The rest is just, you know, basic stuff. You know, you have your percussion, the kicks and the snare. Eventually, like here, I change up the rhythm a bit, which I think is really interesting. And that's honestly all I'm doing for this whole section. Is just I made something with the lead, and now I'm trying to figure out how I can extend that for like, you know, however many bars this is, and keep you interested in the song. So let's just have a quick listen here. Yeah, if you have the project file, you need to come over here and fix the bit crusher. Is this it? It doesn't have the notepad though. What version is this? All right, we're out of here. Although I still need to fix that because it resets my bit crusher settings every time I open the file. So I have to redo them, or else it's gonna sound really shitty. The lead is gonna sound really shitty. And it's like simple tweaks like that to the sound that can make a big difference. And that's like what I'm trying to say, you know, when you're playing around with all these effects, you just kind of have to keep playing until you find something that's really cool. So let's come over here, and these are the settings that we need. 8.6, 15, and then this one is 2.7 and 2. There we go. So let's listen to that again, and you'll see what I mean. So there you go. The effects help a lot. Let's see what happens when we disable all of it. And there you go. As for the lead itself, so you have this 3x oscillator. You have to hit right there, and then we'll start the pattern. Hello? There we go. Alright, so 3x oscillator. We have the like the two bass notes that play at the start, every time, and then you have the pitch bend that happens. And the way you achieve a pitch bend is you use this note right here. So when you add a note, so normal notes, you add like that, right? And they don't have like this triangle here. So this is a normal note, and then the pitch bend, you select your note and you can change it to a bend note. And the way this works is that it'll start playing this A6, and then once it hits like this E6, it'll start bending from A6 to E6, and the ending of the bend will depend on where you end this. So I played around with it, I found something that I liked, and I kept it. As for the 3x oscillators, just that, and then I thought that wasn't interesting enough, so I brought up Silent Fun. And is this one of my banks? Yeah, it's one of my banks. So if you have the project file, you have access to this whole bank with a bunch of interesting sounds that I create and sometimes don't use. And yeah, that completes this this sound here when you combine them together. I can hear some like reverb I probably added. Alright, they're all routed like into this, and then there's some like extra stuff going on. Yeah, that's it. That is the drop. I think I added a bit more sub here. No, that's more like high end, kind of in the mids, coloring that up, and then all together they sound really cool. The rest was just me, you know, figuring out how to make it interesting. So stuff like this. Longer notes, like these ones, right? It's just stuff that sounds cool. Alright, that concludes the drop. That's all I have to say about that. Alright, so we're here at the break. It's just me using the Contact library, a combination of LA scoring strings and Hans Zimmer percussions. Can't really say much about this other than I'm just playing around with stuff until I had like an orchestral composition that I liked and kept for the song. There's a clock ticking here, and the reason I added that was because without this clock, I always got kind of lost during this break here. I personally get lost. I think I reversed the piano, so this helps. That's really it. Honestly, you know, like I said, it's just Contact. The main melody comes back. I think it's the same one, maybe a bit of a variation just because I'm doing, you know, it's a different section. It's not the intro anymore, but we're still building up to like the second drop and whatnot. So it's kind of the same stuff, maybe. Yeah. And then you have this orchestral section, which is just all these strings that I actually exported already, and you can not much to be said there. And then the percussion comes in second half. For the percussion, I added some delay. So you can hear like the panning drums, which I think sound really cool, and it fills up the mix, and it fills up the mix. What happened to my voice there? And yeah, let's see if I can find the sound specifically. So you see how much more interesting that sounds with the delay on. That's that there. Let me see if did I not use any of the Hans Zimmer percussion here? Yeah, I didn't use the Hans Zimmer ensemble this time. But that's fine, because I had this, and it's just as cool. Alright, and then second drop. Alright, so this is the second drop. The same sounds, it's just that I changed up what I was doing. If we come over here, you'll see that it's the same plugins, question mark? I lied. Actually, no, I didn't lie. That's a different layer. But this right here, this is the same thing that was playing at the start. And then I added this. And then together, I listened to that a bit too long, actually. That sounded really cool. So mainly I think it's just a bunch of layering and trying to get the mix to sound right here. Other than that, like I said, not very different from what happened in the first drop, which is another one of the reasons why I didn't really feel like this was worth releasing, because I felt like what I did here wasn't that special. Hence the name, nothing special. Yeah, that was just one of the reasons. Like overall, I wasn't really feeling the mix, and it discouraged me from releasing the song. But eventually I just said, alright, fuck it, let's put it out, which I did, and it ended up doing decently well. Yeah, what more is there to say about this section? I don't really want to go into too much detail about the effects. Let me see. Let me talk to it. I guess I'll talk about it for like a minute or so. Let's see what we did. So let's talk about some of the automation, because I feel like we haven't talked about that. The effects, it's just the same stuff, you know. I'm trying to get it to, there we go. And what sound is that? Is it a combination of things? 54. Here. So it looks like a sound that I made here. Some pitch bending, some cutoff manipulation. And yeah, you can play around with that. As for the automation, so like I said earlier, I was trying to tighten the mix so that the reverb doesn't leak into the section where like the arpeggio is playing and the bending, the lead that's bending is playing, and you can really just isolate that sound and you can hear it. So let's see how it sounds with the automation, and then maybe we'll like disable it and see if that affects it. Affects it enough that the casual listener can also like identify a difference. So now it just kind of sounds all over the place, you know. everything is crashing into each other. And yeah, listen to it again with everything on. And that's it. I don't know what else to say about this section. And then you come to the outro once again. I'll just do this now. I don't think I need to stop the recording for this. This is nothing crazy. It's just a piano that I really like to use. It's a contact library, and it's una corda. I think that's how you say it. It's like Italian, I think. And it's just a piano that I really like, and I was inspired to use it because it sounds similar to the piano in I think it's the same piano that's used in this soundtrack here. And I just really like this soundtrack, so I felt like I wanted to include that in my song as well. Let me see if I can find the song here. So yeah, I recommend you guys listen to this soundtrack. I think it's really cute, really nice, and I also recommend that you watch this movie, A Silent Voice. Really nice, really sweet. It's a really strong movie emotionally. Let's close that. And this was like me trying to recreate it using that library. It's not exactly the same. Then again, I didn't spend too much time on it, but I'm sure like if you tweak the settings enough, you can get to a point that's really similar to what you heard in like that in A Silent Voice soundtrack. All right, so thanks for watching. I hope that was helpful. Like I said, I want to kind of move away from this format and start doing something different. But yeah, overall, maybe this was still helpful, and I know that the project file at least will definitely be interesting to look into and discover all the different things that I did. With that being said, follow me on Twitter. I use Twitter. Follow me on Instagram. I sometimes use Instagram. And yeah, follow the YouTube channel if you want to keep up to date with these videos and stuff. And Patreon. Support me on Patreon if you'd like. $1, $2, whatever you want to do is fine. No pressure. Yeah, that's it. Thanks for watching, if you made it this far.